I actually want to start off telling you a story that has stuck with me from my very, very early days as a tour director. I used to work in France. And in my tour of northern France, one of the places we went was to Normandy, and we went to the D-Day beaches, and we were talking about World War II in lots of different aspects. And on one of my very early tours, it was my very first season, so it was probably like my third tour, I met this gentleman. His name was Jack, and he was there with his wife Marie, and we come in on a first night on a tour to a room like this, and everybody gets to stand up and say why they are here and why they're taking this particular tour. And Marie stood up and said, "We are here, my husband is French, and he hasn't been back to France in a very long while. This was what I wanted for our 50th wedding anniversary, so he brought me to France." Lovely. Okay, so we get done with introductions, and we get done with our first meal. Marie comes up to me later and she says, "By the way, Jack's story is his to tell, but the last time Jack was in France was at the end of World War II, and Jack is Jewish. I thought you should know these things." Later on, Jack comes up to me and he says, "I understand Marie told you a few things about me. I hope you will understand if when we go to the D-Day beaches, I may not participate in the tour that day because I was there." I said, "Totally understand." Now, as we're getting ready, as we're going along through the tour, I'm doing my preparation for the day that we go to the D-Day beaches, and one of the places we go to is a museum. It's a peace museum, but it starts with the run-up of World War II and it goes to after World War II. With the, you can explore any aspect of that conflict, what came before and what came after. That museum likes to honor anybody who fought, anybody who served in any capacity. They'll come out, a couple of senior leaders will present a little medallion to whoever it was that served. And I asked Marie, "Do you think Jack would appreciate this? Because I know they would appreciate." She said, "Maybe, let me see if I can kind of feel that out." I skipped a piece. When Jack said he hoped I understood that he might not participate, what he shared with me was that he was a member of the French Resistance. So I knew this museum would want to really honor him. And Marie came back and she said, "Yes, go ahead and go for it." So I set it all up, but I let them know he may at the last minute decide not even to participate in the day, and they got it. Well, the day came, and Jack decides he's going to come along with us, and we get to this museum. Usually, like I said, it's a couple of senior leaders. They come out, they present the medallion. This time, I swear, it was every available employee in the museum came out to recognize one of their own who had done what he did. And, Jack was very touched, and Marie was incredibly moved, and it was special to them, which is what I hoped it would be. That evening, I sat down briefly with Jack and Marie, because I always like to circulate amongst my visitors, and Jack said, "If you have a minute, I'll tell you a little more of my story." And so I'm going to share with you a couple of the things that Jack shared with me. He was a teenager. His family was arrested. The men in the family, including the teenage boys, were forced to help build Rommel's Wall. He went through several different, being loaded onto trains and moved to build another section, loaded up, moved to build another section. One day, he and the men in the family are loaded up onto the train, and he looks around and he says, "There's elders, there's women, there's children. This is not a normal move. Something's wrong. We need to jump off of this train." You can tell I still get a little emotional thinking about Jack's story. Jack jumped. No one else in his family did. And it was the last time he saw them. Jack was taken in at a Catholic monastery. They hid him for the remainder of the war. Now, this particular monastery, not far from Rommel's Wall, this is where the SS officers would come and they would have their hair cut and their shaved. And because Jack spoke German as well as French, he was able to funnel information to the resistance for the remainder of the war. When he left, he never wanted to go back until this trip because it was important to his wife. And he's telling me all of this story. He says, "Kristen, there are a lot of weapons in this war, but quite possibly the most powerful weapon was words." And that's never left me, because I do think that one of the things that we always have control over, whether it is the work you do at your sites, the work I did on tour, we have control over the words we choose, and those words have power. Those words have power to keep people in a conversation, invite them in even when it's difficult, or we can inadvertently throw people out of a conversation. So this is going to be a presentation in many ways about words.